You know that feeling when you sit down to finally get something done, and instead of just doing it, your brain decides that right now is the perfect time to think about everything else? Every unfinished conversation, every worry about tomorrow, every random memory from 3 years ago that has absolutely nothing to do with what you're trying to accomplish. And you just sit there paralyzed watching the minutes tick by, feeling this slow creep of frustration building inside you because you know what you're capable of, but your mind simply refuses to cooperate. That's not laziness, that's not a character flaw, that's not you being broken. That is overthinking, and it is one of the most quietly devastating things happening to highly capable people right now. And here's the thing most people never figure out. The problem is not that you think too much, the problem is that your brain never learned how to shift into the right gear at the right time. And once you understand that, everything changes. Before we go further, I want to mention something. There is a program linked in the video description below. We have seen people go from feeling completely scattered and mentally exhausted to operating with a level of clarity they did not think was possible for them. I am not going to convince you to look at it right now. Honestly, if you feel like you have this handled, then maybe it is not for you. But keep it in mind as we go through this, because by the end of this video, you might see yourself in ways you did not expect. Now let me tell you what overthinking is actually costing you, not in some abstract philosophical way. In real, concrete terms, studies on cognitive overload show that when your brain is stuck in a loop of excessive thinking, your working memory capacity drops significantly. What that means for you practically is that tasks that should take you 20 minutes are now taking you 2 hours, and the quality of your output is worse, not better, despite all that extra mental effort. Researchers at the University of Michigan found that people who overthink consistently report lower levels of problem-solving ability and significantly higher rates of anxiety. You are not gaining anything from all that thinking. You are losing time, losing energy, and losing confidence with every loop your brain runs. Think about what that adds up to over a week, over a month, over a year. How many projects never got finished? How many ideas never made it off the page? How many mornings did you wake up already tired before the day even started because your brain never fully rested the night before because it was still spinning? That is the real cost. And it is invisible, which makes it even more dangerous. Now here is where the science gets genuinely fascinating, and I want you to pay close attention because this is the part that most people never hear about. Your brain has two primary operating modes. Researchers refer to these as the default mode network and the task-positive network. And these two systems are fundamentally designed to not be active at the same time. When one lights up, the other is supposed to quiet down. The default mode network is your mind-wandering state. It is active when you are daydreaming, ruminating, replaying conversations, worrying about things that have not happened yet. The task-positive network is your focus state. It activates when you are doing something specific, something that demands your full attention. Here is what happens to chronic overthinkers. Their default mode network is essentially stuck in overdrive. It never fully turns off. So even when you try to focus, there is this background noise, this constant hum of thoughts that bleeds into everything you try to do. It is like trying to have an important conversation in a room where someone left the TV on at full volume. You can still hear the other person, but you cannot fully absorb what they are saying. And the technique that neuroscience and cognitive behavioral research points to as one of the most effective ways to interrupt this cycle is something called implementation intention paired with a sensory anchor. Let me break that down in a way that actually makes sense. An implementation intention is simply a very specific if-then plan, not a vague goal, not a motivational statement you repeat in the mirror, a precise mental instruction. If this specific situation happens, then I will do this specific thing. Research conducted across dozens of studies shows that this kind of planning dramatically increases follow-through compared to goal setting alone. We are talking about effectiveness rates that some studies estimate to be 2 to 3 times higher, because you are not relying on willpower in the moment. You are giving your brain a preloaded instruction that bypasses the decision-making loop entirely. But here is where the sensory anchor comes in, and this is the part that makes the technique genuinely powerful. A sensory anchor is a physical sensation or action that you deliberately pair with a mental state you want to enter. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. It associates things constantly. This is not a new concept. Behavioral conditioning has been studied for over a century. But modern neuroscience has shown us that these associations happen faster and run deeper than we ever previously understood. When you consciously pair a specific physical sensation with a focused mental state, repeatedly, your brain begins to automate that transition. So here is how you actually do this. Start by identifying one physical action, something simple, pressing your fingertips together. Taking 3 deliberate, slow breaths, placing both feet flat on the floor. It does not need to be dramatic or complex. What matters is that it is consistent and it is intentional. Then, every single time you sit down to do focused work, you perform that action first. You are not skipping ahead to the task. You are performing the anchor. You are signaling to your nervous system that a shift is happening. At first it feels almost too simple, maybe even a little silly. But something begins to happen around the 3rd, 4th, 5th day of doing this consistently. Your brain starts to connect the dots faster. The transition from scattered to focused begins to take seconds instead of 25 minutes. The mental noise does not disappear entirely, but it drops to a level where you can actually work through it instead of being consumed by it. And this is where people start to notice things they have not experienced in years. They finish something. They look up and realize an hour passed and they were completely locked in. They write something they are actually proud of. They make a decision without agonizing over it for 3 days. That feeling is not just productivity. It is identity level change. Because when you start experiencing yourself as someone who can focus, as someone who can follow through, something shifts in how you see yourself. And that matters more than any single task you complete. Now I want to address something directly, because I know some of you watching this right now are thinking that this sounds too simple. That your situation is different. That you have tried things before and they worked for other people but not for you. And I want you to hear this. That thought, that exact thought, is the overthinking trap doing its job. It is your default mode network running a protection protocol, telling you that engaging means risking disappointment again. But here is the truth. The people who get the most out of techniques like this are not the people who have the easiest minds to work with. They are the people who were the most skeptical, who had tried the most things, who were the most exhausted, because they had the most to gain, and they finally found something that worked with their brain instead of against it. The difference between spending another month feeling scattered versus spending that same month building momentum is not about intelligence. It is not about discipline. It is entirely about having the right framework at the right time. Researchers studying focus and cognitive performance have consistently found that structured environmental and behavioral cues outperform pure motivation every single time. People who rely on willpower alone fail at a dramatically higher rate than people who use system-based approaches. This is not opinion. This is replicated research. And the implementation intention paired with a sensory anchor is one of the most studied, most validated tools in that category. Here is what I want you to try starting today. Not tomorrow, not when things calm down. Today. Write down one specific thing you need to get done. One task, not a list. One thing. Then write your implementation intention in this exact format. When I sit down at my desk to work on this, I will take 3 slow breaths and press my fingertips together, and then I will begin. That is it. Read it once, then go do it. And notice what happens in your body and your mind during those 3 breaths. Notice the shift. It might be subtle the first time. That is fine. You are planting something. Because focus is not something you have or you do not have. It is a skill, and it is a skill your brain is far more ready to develop than you have been told. And the people who understand this, who are actually applying structured, science-backed approaches to their mental performance right now, are not just getting more done. They are sleeping better. They are showing up differently in their relationships. They are making decisions faster with more confidence. They are building the kind of quiet, unshakable belief in themselves that comes from consistent follow-through. Because every time you do what you said you were going to do, you send your brain a signal that you are someone who can be trusted. And that compounds. If you have watched this far, I want to be direct with you about something. The program linked in the video description below is designed for exactly this. It goes far deeper than what we have covered today. If you are tired of knowing what you should do and still not being able to do it, if you are done with another week slipping by while you feel stuck in your own head, then the link is there. But do not click it unless you are actually ready to change something. Some people watch videos like this, feel inspired for a few hours, and then go right back to the same patterns. If that is where you are, the timing is not right. But if something in this video hit differently, if you recognized yourself in a way that felt uncomfortably accurate, then you already know what the next step is. Do not wait for a better moment. This is the moment.